Elsewhere in Messy Study Sessions, I've uploaded a video of me doing the Beatles song I Want to Hold Your Hand. This video is more of an instructional one which is aimed at you guys, the guitarists out there. And I really wanted to do three things in the video. Firstly, to share with you some interesting chord variations in the main opening or the main verses and to talk you through those. Secondly, to say a little bit about the G pattern chord that I use in this and so many other songs. Thirdly, to say something about the use or control of seventh chords in this melodic song. And maybe a couple of other things in passing along the way. But just to get us rolling, here's the first verse followed by the first refrain. Oh yeah, I'll tell you something I think you'll understand when I say that something. I want to hold your hand, I want to hold your hand, I want to hold your hand. Okay. So the structure of the song is pretty simple. I mean, there's a three-line verse followed by a three-line refrain, I want to hold your hand, repeated three times. And then there's a middle eight, and that's repeated later on. Now the chord variations that you can introduce really come at the end of the second or middle line of the verse. In the first verse, that is on the word understand. You can also apply these variations to the final word in the third line of each verse. But personally, I think that's kind of overdoing it, and it's better to come back to a constant there. But it's a matter of personal taste. So the standard way that I do it, or the way that I've done it up till now, and which you'll find in the recording elsewhere on this channel, is to use a B7th chord at the end of that first three lines of the verse. But a B7th chord with an F sharp bass note. Okay, so this is what it sounds like. Oh yeah, I'll tell you something I think you'll understand when I say that something. I want to hold your hand. Okay, so B7th with an F sharp bass. The second variation, and one I think that the Beatles use more often than not in their recordings, is to replace, at the end of the second line in the verse, is to replace the B7th with a B minor. Not a B minor 7th, just a straightforward B minor. This is what it sounds like. Oh yeah, I'll tell you something I think you'll understand. And okay, once more. Oh yeah, I'll tell you something I think you'll understand when okay. So you can see that's completely different to the B7th that I played first of all. And what the B minor does is to introduce a completely different texture, a completely different feel to the song at that point. And I love that variation. The third one I've learned more recently from a guy who does a really good YouTube channel called Forgotten Covers. I don't know what his name is, but he's a really nice guy. And he uses an F sharp minor. And when I first heard that, it really made me sit up and I thought, wow, that kind of feels right, but is so strange that it's very, very unusual. But it works, and it's another lovely variation to think about in constructing and building up this song. Here we go. Oh yeah, I'll tell you something I think you'll understand when I say that something. I want to hold your hand. Okay, so that's F sharp minor. So I think what I'm going to do in future is, when I play this song, or perhaps even re-record it, I'm going to use the first verse with that B7th F sharp bass note, the next verse a B minor, and then perhaps the final verse the F sharp minor, and then revert back to the first verse as an outro, again with the opening B7 F sharp bass. It just gives a bit of variety and flavour, and I really like that. By the way, isn't the guitar an absolutely incredible instrument? I've been playing these things for over 50 years, and I'm as much in love with them today as I was all those decades ago. And as Harry Chapin says in his song of the same name, the guitar is really a 6-string orchestra. Fantastically versatile, with an infinite range of tones and chord combinations and single note sounds. It just thrills me to my core every time I hear it, every time I play it. And I'm just so lucky that I have the ability to do so. Okay, so let's talk about the G chord here. The conventional or standard G chord is thus. And it's a beautiful chord. And it's defined as a G major by the B note, in this case in the 2nd fret on the 5th string. If we were to drop that a semitone from B to B flat, that becomes a G minor. So the difference between a major and a minor is a simple semitone down. In this chord, which is often referred to as the bluegrass G, or I think more technically known as G5 or G5th, what we do is we fret the 6th string with our 2nd finger, but we use the pad of the finger to damp out the 5th string. And what that does is to create a G modal, or a modal version of the G chord, which is neither major nor minor. Neither major nor minor. And the wonderful thing about modal chords is that they can be used in either a major or a minor context. And the audience or the listener themselves determines whether or not the G is effectively a major or a minor, with reference to the context of the song or the piece in which it's being played. And that's very effective. It adds a kind of sense of slight mystery to the song or the piece of music, and engages the listener subconsciously in working out what's going on. In the case of G modal, it's also a very gutsy chord down at the bottom end. And it can also be very silky. Now the other piece of the G modal chord, or the bluegrass G, is that you fret the 1st and 2nd strings on the 3rd fret. In effect, a double stop. So that's G5. And in fact, I probably use it in songs where G is an element far more often than I do the standard G. Okay, so the other thing that we need to move on to now is when we get into the first line of the refrain, which goes, I want to hold your hand. I want to hold your hand. I want to hold your hand. Now there, I deliberately use a B major chord, not a B7th, a B major, the pure sounding B major. Okay. And it's that point where I think a 7th would just intrude too many 7ths into the melody of the song. So, just to go through the first verse and then transition into that B major. Oh yeah, I'll tell you something I think you'll understand when I say that's something. I want to hold your hand. There we have it, the B major, the pure B major. From there we go into a C, and here I put in a G bass on the 6th string. I want to hold D, not D7th, hold your hand, G5, And from here, when we transition to the E minor, keep both of your fingers from that G5 in place on the first and second strings. I wanna hold your hand. And that gives us an E7 suspended or something like that. And that's a really nice sounding chord in that context. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. Okay. And then we move into the middle 8. Now I've seen quite a few players starting that off on a D minor 7th. And when I touch you, I feel happy. Okay, the D minor 7th. I don't do that. I think that's an overkill on the 7ths, and that's just beginning to intrude upon the smoothness and the sequencing of the melody. Far better, in my view, to play a full D minor. And when I touch you, I feel happy inside A minor, not A minor 7th. So, when I touch you, I feel happy inside. It's such a feeling that my love I can't hide, I can't hide, I can't hide. And then right at the end of that final part of the middle 8, transit from a D major to a D 7th before falling back into the melody. Yeah, you've got that something. That's something I think you'll understand when I say that's something. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. And when I touch you, I feel happy inside. It's such a feeling that my love I can't hide, I can't hide, I can't hide. Oh yeah, you got that something I think you'll understand when I say that's something. I wanna hold your hand, I wanna hold your hand. That's it. I hope you've enjoyed that and maybe learned a little bit along the way. Thanks for listening.